Okay, so metal.
Metal.
This show's about metal.
What is metal? We're going to spread the hidden value in music.
We're going to proselytize. We're going to get the word out there.
We are.
That's important.
Whoa! Welcome, everybody, to the Great Metal Podcast, episode 68. We are one away.
Balls.
Yeah, you are here with Shredmaster Scott, Just Pete, and the Metal Evangelist, Luke. So, guys, do you feel the need for speed?
Are you going to give us the keys to the Lamborghini today, Luke?
Oh, let's call up Ingve and be like, Ingve, we have the need for speed.
It'd actually be the keys to the Ferrari. He's like a big Ferrari guy. I know.
Oh, okay,
He's got like a bunch of Ferraris, yeah.
You're going to get us all powered up, I take it.
666 miles an hour.
Yeah. So we're doing so this is genre series number 7. We did a genre series, I think last fall or something. And we're going to continue that today with power metal. This is that some people call this happy metal. Happy metal.
No. What a horrible name for a metal genre. It's not it's more like uplifting.
Yeah.
Can we use that word instead? I think happy is like illegal to use in the metal sphere, you can't.
I watched Sam Dunn did a Metal Evolution documentary.
Shout out to
on
Sam
power
Dunn.
metal. Yeah. And it's so good. It's so good. Everybody should go watch it. We'll link. I'll put the link here, but Metal Evolution on power metal. And somebody in there was like, oh man, power metal is so good. It makes me feel happy. Maybe we should call it happy metal.
No. That's still wrong. That's wrong. That's straight up wrong.
Yeah, maybe it is one of the, it's not the only way, but is what in this genre you hear major keys way more often than you hear them in other metal genres, for sure. So what's it? We all know D minor is the saddest key. What is the happiest key, Shred?
Oh man, I don't know.
What's the opposite of D minor?
It's like you go in terms of like bright and dark. So technically, like Lydian is the brightest mode, and Locrian's the darkest. But I mean, which exact pitch it's built on? Let's say E Lydian.
Okay.
That is the most uplifting key because happy just doesn't exist in my vocabulary.
Okay.
That's a good. David has kind of a good line of thinking. F major is the relative major of D minor, the saddest of all keys.
Yeah.
But it'd probably actually, David, it'd be more like the parallel key. So D major would be F major isn't parallel, that's relative. Anyway.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't make any sense at all. What's Shred talking about?
Sometimes I do watch your videos, Shred, and I'm like, my gosh, this is like algebra math class. I have no clue what you're saying.
I just feel
let's say it's D major though. That is the happiest of all keys. I like that.
Okay, D minor.
I was gonna go with C major because it's just.
Don't you know what C stands for though, Pete?
Oh yeah.
Counterpoint.
Well, so we have this graphic called the Anatomy of Metal. This is going to be our roadmap a little bit here. Here we go. So power metal. So it starts off with harmonizing guitars. We're going to hear a lot of that today. Then you have a big chunk consuming dragons and devils.
Ooh.
And then you've got the woe. The woe. All of these things are going to be so key. And then the multiple solos. This is a pretty good description with a few exceptions. Like this is showing like a 3-minute song for power metal.
Yeah, that's
power metal.
Really,
maybe some of it's shorter, but it is not 3 minutes, and some of it is very long.
Like Rhapsody of Fire, that's power metal, right? That's probably
yeah.
69 minutes.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about Rhapsody of Fire in my comments section the other day. Like, people look at me weird when I listen to this band. I'm like, yeah, it's just kind of the way it goes, you know?
So, and we're gonna get into this because this is probably the most interesting thing about power metal to me. So, like the image, right? With black metal, you see somebody in corpse paint and you're like, black metal, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of metal genres, you can't really tell by the imagery, right? You can with black metal, and
thrash metal has like the jean jackets and all the band stickers on it, ripped up jeans, sneakers. Like
there are some tells, like death metal is literally just like a band t-shirt, that everybody just wears that. But power metal, like black metal, has a very specific image. And because power metal is so heavily influenced by, Renaissance and medieval themes, you see a lot of things like swords and chain mail. Look at this. Look at these guys.
Look at these guys.
Case in point.
Yeah, leather loincloth.
Manowar. I think that's Joey DeMaio on the left, the bass player. He's going full loin cloth.
Yeah, that's impressive. It's impressive.
Full loin. So, this is like, you see that image and you know exactly what genre of metal they play. Power metal. You just know it, right? And so image is a big thing here. We actually have a recipe. We found a recipe for how to make power metal. And here it is. So 420 parts dragon lyrics, 6.9
part.
Yeah, that's the major part. 6.9 vocal octaves,
very
2 harmonized
high
guitar
pitch,
parts. Yeah, very high. You got to have 13 guitar solos, 400,000 double bass drum beats. You mix it all together at 666 beat per minute. Boom. You have yourself power metal.
Power metal.
Luke, you just made your own meme right there.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. So the recipe for power metal. That's all you need. That's all you guys got to do if you want to make power metal. That's
the Sonic recipe.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
Sonic recipe. Number 69 Spotify hit. Oh, yeah. Dude, dragons are it. Why are dragons so good? I need more dragons in my life.
It's the epic, right? Fire breathing. There is
like
something about the energy in power metal just like lends towards the energy of fantasy, right? And because everything's larger than life in fantasy. And
it's
so
just
that's
that
like
dragons are
this music genre.
Yeah, it's such good story content, whereas like WAP juice is kind of like it just gets boring after a while.
Not as good.
It's fun to drink, but not the best lyrical content.
After the first 69 measures, you're like, man, what is this all about?
Correct.
Competitive.
Correct number. Yeah.
Well, so I mentioned the Sam Dunn documentary earlier, and so we've got a couple clips from it. So first of all, apparently he was like not into power metal. He was not well versed in power metal. But so he made this documentary, Sam. And he was like, I got to go figure this out. So he starts off by asking a bunch of people, define power metal. What is it? So here's the clip.
Metal is known for its high vocals, epic song arrangements, and Dungeons and Dragons-like band names like Manowar, Hammerfall, and Blind Guardian. It's a metal style that's hugely popular in Europe and seems to bear all of the hallmarks of traditional heavy metal. So what exactly is this thing called power metal?
We're trying to understand what the hell power metal is, because it didn't exist in Canada. How would you describe power metal, the sound of it?
Girlish. Lots of people who go to festivals have girlfriends and they need a band to show the girlfriend to.
It's called power metal because everybody can scream with it. Strong and fast music with very high vocals.
So why isn't it just called heavy metal? How would you define power metal?
Like what? It's
very
power.
Easy melodies, very happy melodies. So melodies that you can sing along. Some people still call melodic power metal happy metal.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh man,
It was the Metal Hammer guy.
Look, there's nothing
no.
wrong about being happy. It's about balance, right? So like this speaks back to metal in general, can take you on a variety of emotional journeys, as opposed to just being stuck in one.
Happiness is just such a vanilla, boring word, though. I like the uplifting. That's why, it like when it comes to major sounds, you have like the Ionian mode, right? That's the standard major, but then there's Lydian. That's the brighter one. And that's different. It's like happy kind of, but it makes you want to cry a little bit too. It's very nostalgic and epic, uplifting. Anyway, I think those adjectives are just a little bit better descriptors.
Uplifting is a great term for it because it does. It makes you feel bigger, stronger, happier, whatever.
Ready to go to war.
Are. You're ready to go to war. That's right.
Against dragons. Against dragons. I shall slay the dragon.
Oh, this is good. Yeah. It's a hero feeling, David says.
Exactly. It's like you're going on a journey, and this association with the medieval time period is really interesting. I don't know why that is, but whenever I post like a metal video that has medieval kind of imagery and connections, like castles and dragons and stuff, that does better. People love that association. They just fit.
Oh yeah, there's a magic to that, right?
There's a
magic to fantasy, to dragons and rescuing the damsel in distress, right?
Maybe it goes deeper though too, because the medieval modes that we've been talking about. I don't know how we got into modes, but these are used in power metal, right, and in other styles of metal. But they originated in this time period, the medieval time period. So, there's something to that. There's some deep, rich history there.
Well, so the story of power metal is brilliant, and I would recommend everybody go watch the Sam Dunn documentary because there's a lot more in there than we can cover. But really, what appears to have happened is power metal all began with one man, Ronnie James Dio, and Rainbow, right?
Enter RJD.
It was a genre started by his lyrical content. It wasn't about a specific sound or guitar style or whatever. It was this idea of fantasy lyrics, telling stories about mythology and this kind of stuff, which was a big thing in classical music, right? Flight of the Valkyries and the classical music often talked about mythology. Ronnie James Dio wanted to apply that because prior to Dio, right, like Black Sabbath, they had a lot of very political lyrics, and then there was like lyrics about Satanism and that kind of stuff. But it wasn't about like high fantasy, orcs and elves and things like that.
Right.
Dio loved that kind of stuff, and he loved the concept of good versus evil, right? And so here's a clip of Sam Dunn from the same documentary talking to Dio about his lyrics.
Power metal is a subgenre that revived classic heavy metal's obsession with fantasy and European folklore. But this obsession didn't start with bands like Hammerfall. The band that pioneered fantasy metal was Rainbow.
Look away from the sea. I can take you anywhere. Spend a vision with me. A chase with the wind.
So I'm revisiting the interview I did with Rainbow's legendary vocalist, Ronnie James Dio. 5 years.
There's a holding sword.
To understand how he laid the groundwork for the power metal.
Sam is like 6'8", I think. RJD 5'4".
At such an early age and read all about dragons and knights and damsels in distress and great science fiction works. I was just, I've got to create what these images are now myself. That's so cool. I decided to put all the things that I wrote in this kind of fantasy area, which made you have to think, what is he talking about? Oh, he said that? Well, I wonder what that looks like. I wanted people to have to use their imagination the way I did and create their own dragons. Evil is a great subject. The symbolism, which is incredible for artwork, for stage presentation. It goes well with black leather and chains and lights and pyrotechnics. It's just a perfect medium for it. Evil is something that we know about but don't understand why it happens and don't really ever meet up with the devil. So again, it's kind of having to use your own imagination.
You should wear a shirt like that with the chest hair poking out. A little, what do you call those? Medieval shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
like a pirate. Yeah. Type thing. I love what he says there. He's like, I wanted to write lyrics that required the listener to use their imagination.
Yeah.
My gosh, is that a
great.
powerful thing? It makes the listener, it's an interactive experience now, right? And so he's singing about something and you're like, oh, okay, what does that mean? I have to like think about things. That is brilliant writing. That's just a brilliant approach. And so he starts doing this, and all of these, younger guys that are, I don't know, little kids in the 70s, but they're starting to learn to play guitar and stuff. They're like the guys from Hammerfall and whatnot. They're like, oh, this is such an interesting, it's such interesting subject matter, right? So at the same time, one of the biggest bands in the world is Judas Priest, right? In the early 80s, Judas Priest takes off, and Rob Halford has such a distinctive voice, right?
Oh, dude.
So here is a clip from Sam Dunn talking to Rob Halford about his vocal style.
Experiment. You just want to do as many things as you can possibly do, and you always want to go to 11. You do. Before inner-ear monitors, before any decent monitors, you have to scream your throat out just to hear yourself on stage. You're battling against all that volume. I mean, you can't lay back. You've just got to, you've got to rip your throat out.
You got another thing coming. All of us headbangers as kids, we would sit around and listen to that and go, is this even metal? It was so foreign because Rob Halford was classical, studied, singing high almost all the time. Without Rob Halford, you wouldn't have Ralph Sheepers from Primal Fear. You wouldn't have Timo Codipelto from Stradivarius. Basically, the characteristic power metal vocal, almost to the point where it's not power metal if you don't have this kind of vocal.
Huh. Wow. And there's that classical and metal synthesis, that's happening there. That's such a fascinating pairing.
Now, I read that Rob Halford had a 6-octave range. Wow. Now, that's like Mariah Carey level of range.
6 octaves?
That's what I read. I don't know if it's true or not.
I don't know about 6.
That's a lot of his stuff was really high. Like he could get up there.
But 6 octaves, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't know either.
Unless he snipped the nuts. That could be.
So how many octaves are on a piano? It'd be 8 octaves on a piano?
Well, there's 88 keys. It's a good question.
And there's 12. No, there's 12.
It'd be a lot.
Yeah. There's 12 notes in the scale, right? No, it's 8. There's 8 notes in the scale because then you have the half.
Well, no, there's 12. There's 12 notes.
7 octaves on a grand piano.
Okay, so
if Halford can hit
almost the whole piano.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
It's hard to believe, but I did read it, and he could get low and he could get high. I don't know if it was 6 octaves, but anyway,
question, dude's voice is nuts. No question about that.
Yeah. So he was extremely influential in terms of just vocal style for a lot of different genres of metal. But there's one other key ingredient here that had to come into play to form power metal. And of course, that's the music itself. right? So these guys
had to have a little bit of that.
You had to have a little bit of music. What is this going to sound like? We want to sing about dragons, and Rob Halford's voice is doing something. We love that. It's an epic voice, and we're going to need that because we're singing about epic stuff. Now we need some epic music, right? And who is taking the scene by storm in these days? Yngwie Malmsteen and neoclassical metal. And he's taking these, classical pieces of music and amping them up to 11 with electric guitar. And so
no sugar involved in the creation of those licks. No donuts at all.
No.
Very
None whatsoever.
Clean eating there.
So before we get to some actual music, let's just hit this one more clip of Sam Dunn's interview with Yngwie.
What do you think metal and classical music share? Why do they work well together?
If you listen to Vivaldi and you listen to the melodies and the themes, if you just turn it up and put it through a Marshall stack, it sounds amazing. It lends itself to be played loud.
Were you attracted to classical music because of the virtuosity?
My older brother and sister were playing Tchaikovsky, and I didn't feel like I was gonna be left behind. Like, oh, well, I don't know that stuff, but I know this blues scale. I'm not saying the blues is bad, it's just I wanna go further.
He went further. He went more with more.
Further he went.
Yngwie Malmsteen would quote classical music. He would cover classical songs. He recorded with an orchestra. He was just this intense and intensely European guy. He was probably the guy who made the biggest impact on all the power metal guitarists to come.
Yngwie really established classical influences so much into metal solos with the accuracy and the speed, especially in this kind of controlled wildness in his play.
So
wow.
I like David's comment here. It's like bards with electric guitars.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, David. Yeah.
They tell a big epic story, and they were missing the electric guitars back then.
And that's what Yngwie brought to the table, right? He was like, I'm going to take this music. So now you have all of this stuff. It's all coming together, right? You've got the lyrical themes. You've got the vocal styles. Like we need this high range vocal style, and we need epic music, heroic music, to use your term earlier, David. We need heroic music. And Yngwie brought that out. So now you have these bands that are like, we're going to mix all of that stuff together. So the godfathers of power metal, most people consider the first ever power metal album
Justin
Bieber. Just before Justin Bieber, Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1 by Halloween.
Halloween.
So they actually Halloween.
Halloween has a song called Halloween, so don't get it twisted. It's easy.
That's true. They do. So this wasn't their first album. Their first album was more traditional heavy metal, but then they started putting all these pieces together. So here's a little bit of Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1. This is the first power metal the world saw or heard.
Take care. In the streets of Halloween, there's something going on. No way to escape the paranoia. In the streets of Halloween, the spirits will arise. Make your choice in
Yeah, that's high. That's nuts snipped high.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff you regret doing when you're later on in life and you're an aging rock star like John Bon Jovi. And you're like, oh, crap, I have to try to get up there. Everybody just tune down 6.9 octaves. Now we'll be able to get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that takes some effort. I like to sing, and I will go for it. It takes energy to get really high. And yes, the older you get, the less ability you have to just get there, you know?
That's what Rob was saying. Rob Halford was saying that.
Unless you make a deal
you put all
with
the energy.
devil. You got to make a deal with the devil to keep hitting those high notes.
That's true. Yeah.
Totally worth it. It's totally worth it, by the way. I would suggest doing that.
Yeah. So anyway, Halloween, Germany, power metal is born, right?
What year was that, Luke? Do you know?
1987, I think, was Keeper of the Seven Keys.
Where do we officially start the clock with power metal? Somewhere in that range, because we're talking about all these influences, but didn't really have the total package together until Halloween, perhaps, huh? That's the first power metal band.
That's what I mean. There were examples of things that would resemble power metal prior to this, but when people today, when you think of modern day power metal, Keeper of the Seven Keys is really kind of considered, generally speaking, the first power metal album, and it came out in May of 87.
Yeah, so Halloween's cool.
Yeah. So power and it's just uplifting, fun, happy, whatever you want to call it. Wasn't
overly happy though. I mean, honestly, that song was really in a minor key.
Yeah,
right.
But it's like it's not lyrically.
It's not dark.
It's not dark.
It's not doom metal for sure.
Right. Right. Not doom metal. So now, interestingly enough, power metal really it was developed. It really started and was like doing its thing in Europe, but in the United States, in North America, it was also kind of developing, but it was developing in not a very different direction. But the band Man of War, right? So interesting story. So Man of War was started by the bass technician that was on tour with Black Sabbath back in 79 or something like that.
Joey DeMaio?
I
don't know who actually.
Joey DeMaio the bass player?
He's the bass player. Yeah.
So it was a bass technician, and he wasn't playing. He was touring with Black Sabbath, and Black Sabbath had
it was Joey
backup.
Okay. Yeah.
It was Joey. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Black Sabbath had a backup guitarist, and Joey and the backup guitarist were like friends. And then backstage one day, Joey is talking to Ronnie James Dio and was like, Ronnie James Dio was like, dude, if you want to start a band and play music talking about dragons and stuff, you should totally do it.
He probably did it with a sword. He knighted him. I hereby knight you, Joey DeMaio, to start a power metal band.
I'm sure that happened. I mean,
yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Dio did have swords.
Decapitate you here.
Oh, yeah.
He did have a bunch of swords in that video.
Blades.
So
anyway, if RJD told me to start a band, I'd do it. That's something you just have to do.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly right. Well, and Joey felt the same way. So he formed Manowar. Now, Manowar, so I think they started in 1980s when they formed. I don't know when their first album came out. So he took a different approach musically, right? So he and Yngwie maybe wasn't as prominent at that time. So Manowar, North American power metal, is typically slower. You don't have nearly as much like keyboards, right? You don't have the synthesizer, the harpsichord or whatever it's called. You don't have that kind of stuff in American power metal. It's much more guitar driven. And it's more about like chanting, like war, right? It's like fighting, Knights of the Round Table, that kind of stuff. So here's an example. So this is off of Manowar's first album. This is called Battle Hymn.
riffs.
Hail to me, our infantry, still brave beyond the grave, forsworn eternal vow. The time to strike is now. Kill, 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 kill.
Big voice again.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Eric Adams or not. He's the current vocalist. But yeah, wow. Pipes. Got some pipes, bro.
Yeah, and that
No
is much more similar to like maybe thrash metal than Halloween is, right? The Halloween's got that the double bass and it's fast. It's more towards the major keys, not that they don't use minor keys. So it's two different styles. So like European style, they went the direct, like bands like Blind Guardian, right, and Stradivarius. Whereas the North American bands more like Virgin Steel and Metal Church, right? And so just two very, very different styles. Now, there's one more key ingredient before we get to like modern power metal. And that was Iron
Britney
Maiden.
Spears. Iron
Okay.
Maiden.
Boy,
Boy.
Justin Bieber, Britney Spears.
Struggling today.
Wrong genre, Shred. Wrong genre.
I'm all over the place.
Iron Maiden comes along and they had this ability to write extremely catchy anthemic choruses, right? If you listen to modern day power metal, you just have to sing along. They're like the types of songs that you would go to the bar and everybody gets drunk and starts singing a song. Like Iron Maiden, that's what they did. Run to the Hills, all this stuff. So Iron Maiden had this ability to write these really catchy songs that the entire crowd would sing along to. Power metal picked up on that, and they're like, these are chants that you sing as you're going into battle, or victory chants after you slayed the dragon, whatever. So
they're unifying. It
Yes.
develops camaraderie, a spirit of, hey, we're all in this together.
Yes.
That ethos, is really clear in power metal. It's like a brotherhood. Manowar talks about this all the time.
Yes.
Join the metal brotherhood. Here's a beer. Let's party.
Here's a beer. That's right.
There it
Well,
is.
so the bands that really took this, power metal to the next level and developed what we think of power metal today was really Rhapsody. Rhapsody of Fire.
Here we go. Rhapsody
Here we go.
of Fire.
Symmetry mentioned Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Is that a
Yeah,
band?
that's from
Iron Maiden.
That's Iron Maiden. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a poem, I think.
Yeah. Right.
But, yeah.
Iron
it's
Maiden-
based on the poem. Yeah.
I guess I haven't heard that. I should look that up.
Check it out.
Iron Maiden, a lot of their songs are like about historical events or based off of
Like
poetry.
all of them.
Maybe all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
People, I don't think people realize how deep metal is, guys. It's so deep. If you know what I'm talking about, like, maybe that would help. If you're trying to get someone into metal, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it needs to be more shallow. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
The intellectuals, maybe be like, hey, you should really listen. It's like Passchendaele by Iron Maiden was all about the Battle of Passchendaele.
Those uplifting melodies help.
They do.
And then people listen and they're like, wait a minute, this is weird because of the lyrics.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not real life stuff, or
Right.
at least most people's real life experience, right? Whereas WAP Juice, oh, okay, I did some of that last night or something. So you're like, you can identify with it. I don't know.
It's boring. Why do you
It is
want
pretty-
all
it's pretty
of
boring.
real experience?
Yeah. Well, so Rhapsody didn't form until mid 90s. Their first album was 97. Now, Rhapsody and Dragon Force then formed in 98.
Oh yeah, Dragon Force.
Now both Rhapsody
are they considered power metal? I guess they kind of
Oh, yeah.
are, right? But then they did, their own spin on things too. Video game power metal.
Yeah. Well, so interesting, right? Because Dragon Force, how a lot of people credit Dragon Force with popularizing power metal, especially in the United States, because they put Through the Fire and the Flames on to Guitar Hero.
Dude,
And so they made
single
that cross.
song. It's just that one song. Herman Lee, I'm sure, hates this. That's just,
yeah.
I mean, obviously he has a lot of great songs, but if you were to look at like the sales, single wise,
Oh,
I bet
yeah.
you Through the Fire and the Flames is like 69 billion and everything else is like 2.
Right.
Big
right.
difference.
Right. Because he crossed media, right? The gaming industry is an enormous industry.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man.
they were like, hey, let's put
That's a great
Through the
point,
Fire and the
Luke.
Flames out there. And because it was such a challenging song, basically impossible to play on a plastic guitar or on a real guitar.
Well, you can do it, right, Lou?
I can get through it, but I can't 100% that thing.
You guys
And
got to
so-
see Luke's fake plastic guitar skills. It's insane.
Through the Fire and the Flames has 130 million views on YouTube. That's
130
big.
million, yeah. It's
130.
huge.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
really
big.
big for a metal song.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, here's the thing. So both Rhapsody and Dragon Force are blockers. So I do have a clip. So this is off of Rhapsody's first album. This is called The Emerald Sword. But we'll probably just have to trim it out afterwards. So anyway, let's check it out. This is the modern power metal.
Oh, you're getting pegged for sure now, Luke. That was a long ass clip. Yeah,
I had
you're
to
done,
get through-
son. You're
I had to
done.
get through the chorus, man. The chorus is the big chant
I
for
know,
the
right?
king, right?
Yeah, for the
We had to do it
king.
for the
That's
king.
a good lyric. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to those guys?
They're still around.
Oh, they
Luca
are.
Torelli left. Yeah, Luca. So they had the whole copyright issue with their name in like 2006 or something, and had to change from Rhapsody to Rhapsody of Fire. And then Luca
Where-
Torelli left shortly after that, and he does a whole bunch of
they-
side projects.
Are they Italiano? Where are they from?
Yeah. Yep, Italy. And
They like make pizza. I wonder if they like
Tur-
pizza.
Torelli is like the reincarnation of Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, he's so unbelievably impressive. And I personally prefer Torelli stuff because it's
How dare you, Luke?
there's so much composition behind it.
Are you a donut hater?
No, I'm just saying Yngwie has a tendency to just shred for like an hour straight. And
yeah.
Anybody that's listened to Torelli stuff, it's literally fully orchestrated
songs,
big
more like
compositions.
songs.
Yeah.
Yngwie's had so much influence, not necessarily because of his songs, which is really weird, actually, if you think about it. It's his technique and his licks and all that kind of stuff. It's just totally groundbreaking. But his song, no one's like going around singing, Yngwie Malmsteen songs to themselves. No, maybe a couple of them, like
They're not
Black Star.
sing-alongs.
Yeah, most of them aren't really singing.
I like it. David said, like, songs like these must be epic for crowd sing-alongs.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah. I would love to be in a festival when Rhapsody comes out there and plays.
Yeah.
Holy shite, would that be awesome? Because you'd
It's
literally
powerful.
you'd have 200,000
Powerful.
people all singing the same thing.
Yeah, dude. At these Metallica shows, Metallica's I think still on a tour, and they when they stop singing, just let the crowd do it. It's so loud. I'm like the fans know every lyric. Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would feel like? Just have tens of thousands, maybe sometimes hundreds of thousands of people like just singing back at you. That'd be a wild feeling.
I can't imagine.
Singing stuff you wrote.
Stuff you wrote.
Yeah. So, okay. So modern day power metal is born in the late 90s, largely by bands like, Rhapsody
Let it out, Luke.
Dragon Force. Now, I should. Now, here's the really interesting thing is at that same time, symphonic metal is, taking off. Nightwish.
Is that where we start the
Therion.
clock with symphonic? I thought it was earlier than that.
It's a little earlier. It's like, early 90s, right? And but power metal starts like having an affair with symphonic metal, right? And then you start getting some really, really interesting stuff. So it's like big epic orchestrations that have this like really fast driving element to them. And so then you start getting bands like Avantasia, right? Tobias Sammet out of Germany, I think, maybe Austria. And Avantasia comes into play. Big power metal stuff. But there's a much wider range. It's not all 666 beat per minute, dueling guitars, high pitched vocals. It's a range of stuff.
Where was Halloween from? Are they German?
Germany.
Yeah. Okay. So really, power metal is like kind of German, isn't it?
Very German.
Yeah.
Blind Guardian, I think, is German.
Yeah. They're definitely German. Yeah.
So Germany really fostered this whole genre.
Interesting.
But let's check out some variations in the power metal genre. So first of all, here's
Before we jump into it, Matt joined here and says, in his opinion, Blind Guardian's Valhalla is the best power metal chant.
That's a great chant.
Look out for.
Matt, have you heard Demons and Wizards? That's a cross-pollination between Hansi Kurtz, the lead singer of Blind Guardian, and John Schaefer and Iced Earth. They have a chant. I think it's called Chant, actually.
Okay.
That starts off the first Demons and Wizards. I think there's two of them. But on the first Demons and Wizards, that opening track is the most. It gives me chills every time I hear that. It's like the most creepy, evil, sadistic monk chants you've ever heard. It's oh man, is it good? You've heard that. You've heard that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. He said he saw Demon and Wizards at Wacken in 2019.
Yeah.
Wow.
They probably didn't play that song because it's layered with a lot of vocal tracks. But
that would have been an epic show. Wacken. I got to get to Wacken one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, let's check out some variation of power metal here.
Yes.
So here's Avantasia. This is symphonic power metal.
cool. Good songwriting on that.
Yeah.
Some really good modulations.
I really like the lyric or like the way he delivers lyrics, that singer.
Wait, is that Tobias Sammet? Who was that?
Yeah, that's Sammet.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Tobias.
Yeah.
That was a cool song. Like it starts and there's like a whole vibe, but then it's like boom, a total shift. Once you go into the verse, like I love that kind of bait and switch where you're like, whoa, it's just all of a sudden changes.
Yeah, definitely. He is definitely. I would not call that happy metal at all, right?
No.
But that's definitely darker than Rhapsody. A lot of Rhapsody stuff.
You could make a case that nothing we've actually heard today is in a major key. Actually,
Shred,
a compelling case. So, but I get
we're
it.
We're gonna have to measure it out.
They do use some major chords, but they're still keeping like the home bass chord minor. So
okay. How about this one? So Eden Bridge, another big power metal band, but they differentiate themselves a little bit by having a female lead singer, which is most power metal has a male singer that can sing in a high registry. Like a female. Eden Bridge was like, well, let's just get a female.
I don't even think girls can sing higher than these power metal guys. Like, I think they can sing just as high. It's crazy.
Yeah. So let's check out Eden Bridge.
Wow. That guy's guitar style stands out, doesn't it? He kind of has like a different way of playing.
He's probably my favorite, the guitarist that uses finger tapping the best, in my opinion, because he's so musical with what he does with it. It's not just for speed; it's for like I can't even describe it. Lon Vol is
it's practical. He's just reaching notes you couldn't otherwise get to. I'm so frustrated that people hate finger tapping. It's so overdone, right? And it's just you're not using it right. Like it's definitely the most usable technique. I've ranted about this. It's the wankery, and we've talked about this before. But everybody's like obsessed with sweep picking. That's like the thing. But tapping is way cooler.
Shred, was that in a major key?
There was a couple sections in there you can make a case for that, but there was so much chromaticism, and there was a couple sections that were really minor based too. There's a lot of music in that short clip.
Yeah.
I like went through several different vibes.
I like Eden Bridge's sound, but I do feel like everything they do sounds very similar. Like it's.
How dare you criticize Eden Bridge, Pete?
So that is a legitimate criticism of power metal, because a lot of power metal is, really fast, and it's just that I can never remember the name of this.
Picking?
Tremolo picking, yeah. And so it can all start to run together.
That makes it marketable, though. It's like consistent. There's really not that much variation you can have if you want to have like an audience that returns to your music album after album. Like, think about what Metallica did. They lost a big chunk of their fan base, with the Black Album when they changed styles.
Right.
And then again in the late 90s with the Load Reloads, and then again with Saint Anger. They're just constantly ruffling everybody's feathers, but then they gain new fans too.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I would say they've done well with it.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah,
no
works
question
for them.
I guess that's a whole conversation. It's really interesting, because some bands are able to innovate, reinvent, and sort of keep growing, and other bands kind of like get off in the weeds and like change too much,
Yeah. Oh, there's a fine line. And I do not envy them for trying to do that.
Imagine if like Dream Theater came out with a record, right? Their next record, and it's like pop Britney Spears songs, and John never does any shredding. People are like,
right. Exactly.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So power metal, here's another one. Pete, maybe this is, this will be a little outside. So Powerwolf. I think they're from Germany. These guys are great. Talk about theatrics. And a lot of times they're wearing corpse paint, which is very unusual for power metal.
Yeah.
Cross-pollination.
Corpse paint.
Yeah, here it is. Sometimes I stop listening to Powerwolf because I'm scared that it gets too epic and I'm going to explode. They have some really epic stuff. But they also, when we're talking about uplifting, major, minor, these guys are not afraid to go dark, to take power metal dark. So here's a clip of their song Glaubenskraft.
What was that mean?
This dude's voice is great.
Luke, you always save the best bands for last. I don't know why you're holding out on with that one.
But we had to get to Powerwolf.
Wow. I mean, they do have power in their name. That didn't really seem all that power metal.
Well, so it's slower in terms of speed. You mean like tempo?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's epic in its sound. Powerwolf, and it's darker. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the favorite. That was one of the best clips, I would say. That was a good vibe.
Yeah.
And they're not even singing in English. It's like Rammstein. You're like, I don't care. It's so good. Like, I'm with you.
Yeah. They have songs they sing in German. They have songs they sing in English. They go all over the place. But Powerwolf is a fun band, even when they're not being fun. You're still having a good time. You're having a good time no matter what with Powerwolf.
I really don't know Powerwolf, I guess. Me and Powerwolf got to go deeper.
Yeah. And it's a different take. Now, some of their stuff is more like traditional power metal, but it's a very different take on power metal. I love some of the stuff they're doing.
Metal styles, man, we can be flexible, more flexible than the Stallion Megan, for example. And other we can do more of a wide range. I think that's one reason I think why I like metal so much. Jazz would be another genre you can really exercise a lot of flexibility, but jazz is just not as cool.
I got a couple other highlights to hear. Another Italian power metal band, more traditionally Italian, or power metal, traditionally Italian.
It's a me,
more traditionally power. This is Ancient Bards, and the song is called Impious Dystopia.
I'm not enticed by your words of demise. You won't learn me to join in your venture.
Bass solo.
Yeah.
Those guys were serious. They had like 17 strings on their instruments.
Yeah.
Playing really fast.
Yeah, we departed a little there, lyric or vocally, to get some grunting in on it.
Exactly. Yeah. And now they're big on the fantasy lyrics. So in fact, that's part of their Crystal Sword saga, which is I think 3 albums long, and it's loosely based on Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy video game series. So I really big epic lyrical themes, big epic sounds. They got that choral parts for the chorus.
Yeah.
And then they have the female singer, Sarah Squadrani. She's amazing. Check out her YouTube channel. She does lots of like vocal covers. And then also, he's got the guy grunting who's like the bad guy, right? The bad guy always grunts.
That makes it easier to tell stories when you have the Beauty and the Beast dynamic. The beast represents evil, female represents, the good or whatever. It's always cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I got one other I got to throw out here because this guy is amazing. So he goes by the name Rain Exceed, REINXEED, and that used to be his band name. He changed it to Majestica, who we've talked about on our Christmas album, our Christmas episode.
This guy can shred and he sings. He shreds singing and guitar playing.
Yes, and so he's celebrating his 20-year anniversary of I'm making albums, maybe the 20-year anniversary of his first album or something. Anyway, this song is called The Light, and it's great traditional power metal.
Only criticism was he was performing the illegal guitar technique of finger tapping. How dare you?
Yeah, he does some finger tapping.
I believe David says he trusts that guy leading us all into battle. I agree. That was some good axe work there, and you want a leader that can handle his axe.
Oh, that's a great pun. Great
pun. Grind that axe in battle.
Yeah. No, he's incredible. I think he is also from Sweden. I gotta look it up. But man, if he's from Sweden, Yngwie's from Sweden, I don't know.
I wonder if he likes balls. It seems like he doesn't have any balls with those notes that he's hitting. But then again, if you're from Sweden, got the Swedish meatballs.
Okay, yeah, his name is Tommy Johansson, and he is from Sweden. Yeah. So man, the Swedes can shred. Holy crap. And that I'd almost believe that guy's got 6 octaves in him. I mean,
I don't understand how you have like the time to shred on both voice and guitar like that. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. Super impressive. Okay, so I got one other I want to hit here because I feel like this is one of the most underrated bands ever. Austrian power metal band Serenity. These guys sing a lot about historical stuff. Sir Francis Drake and discovering America, all this kind of stuff. They're big into like historically accurate fable and myth type stuff. And so they have a new one. I think this just came out recently, like within the last few months. I don't know about this song, but they had a new album come out. Anyway, this is Souls and Sin by Serenity.
Wow. Those guys went hard on the production.
Yeah.
Really good low frequency presence there.
And emotionally powerful music. So
emotional damage.
I was driving one time. This was a number of years ago, and I was rocking out to these guys. No, I was rocking out to these guys so hard. I looked down and I was going like over 100, and I was like in like a 55, and I was like, I'm almost double the speed limit right now because these guys amp me up so much. So Serenity from Austria.
It
wasn't my fault. No,
it didn't seem as much power in the speed department.
That song isn't.
Okay.
No, but a lot of their stuff is like they're a power metal band. I might have grabbed that one because that might be the one that just came out a few weeks or months ago or something.
Okay.
So apparently Tommy's cheating on Majestica with one Sabaton.
With Sabaton, is this true?
The war metal band. I didn't realize that. Is
Tommy
that
Johansson
true?
is the guitarist to Sabaton. I'll be damned.
Is that right?
That's great information.
That is good.
How is he?
Yeah, because I know him from
bands?
Rain Exceed. Yeah, no. He is guitars and backing vocal for Sabaton 2019 on the Great War and 2022 the War to End All Wars. Sabaton, they like war.
It seems weird he'd be in Sabaton and not even sing. He probably just backup vocals or something. But
yeah, it says backing vocals
like
and guitars.
Yeah,
and he's been playing with them since 2016. So that's interesting. That is good to know. Sabaton is a fantastic band too.
Yeah.
We talked about them, I think, last week. But okay, guys, we have run out of time. But that's power metal. Power metal is I don't know exactly where the name comes from. There's so much power in the metal, maybe from the speed, and I mean, we're gonna charge, right? We're charging, taking that hill,
It's
resting
like the
that
power
damsel.
in your gas pedal. You know,
power
it gets you
swords,
pumped up
power
and you
dragons,
just 100 miles an hour.
power speeding
Just
tickets.
exudes power. Yeah.
Yes. And I love the double bass, man. The more double bass, the better.
Oh, yeah.
And you hear that in power metal more than most other genres. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, guys, talking power metal with us. We learned a bunch of new stuff from you guys, which was awesome. And
next show, Britney Spears, Megan Thee Stallion. Yes.
Yeah, WAP metal. Well,
Wappy metal.
All right, guys. Remember that the world ends with you. So keep it power metal.